let's start things off with the Concacaf Champions Cup draw, which took place on the Wednesday night. A lot of intrigue were the three Canadian club sides, what their future in the Champions Cup would look like, and that was revealed last night. Let's bring up what the bracket, what the draw looks like. And a familiar foe for Vancouver Whitecaps as they take on Tigres, a team that they played in the League's Cup last summer. Tigres, a tough competitor, a tough draw for Vancouver Whitecaps. Forge may have the toughest draw of the bunch as they take on 2018 Champions League winners, Chivas de Guadalajara. And if they somehow survive that, Club America may be waiting in the round of 16. And as for Cavalry, they're going to Disney World. Well, kind of. They're going to Orlando. They take on Orlando SC. And of course, the return leg being played in the great city of Calgary as well. We'll get through the entire draw inevitably and eventually. But Oliver Platt, let's start with you. What do you make of the draws for the respective Canadian clubs in this competition?
Yeah, for the CPL teams, I thought it came out very well. I was hoping maybe for a Liga MX team for one and an MLS team for the other one, and that's what we got. I think they're both very attractive opponents. I think you look at the pot of teams that was available for all of the Canadian sides, and it was always going to be a tough draw. So, that's clearly the case, and there'll be big underdogs in both ties to progress, but I think Forge gets another opportunity to go down to, a historic club in Chivas. That's the best supported team in Mexico. It's got such a history and tradition in terms of, only playing Mexican players and what they stand for there. So that's a massive tie for that club. And then Cavalry getting the chance to test themselves again against MLS opposition, which has generally gone pretty well for them in the Canadian Championship. So again, another very good team in Orlando coming off their best ever season. But yeah, I think that'll be one that will be exciting to see up in Calgary, fingers crossed, and then going down to Florida as well.
Jordan, what's your initial reaction?
Well, first I gotta talk to you and maybe rub your head more often, Wheels, because you're onto something. I think yesterday you predicted this would happen for Calgary, no?
I said I wanted Cavalry with Nashville. I said Forge Orlando, but I definitely put Orlando into the ether. Yes.
You definitely did. And when you said it, I saw it, and I said, this guy knew something that I didn't know. But you said Forge. Okay, close enough. Warm, not hot.
I should have taken it. I should have taken it.
Yeah, you should have. I think it's just great. I think we'll start with Calgary going into Explorer Stadium, going to Orlando. I remember just playing for York United and going to TFC, even though we got slapped 4-0, and you could definitely see the levels. But just being in those locker rooms, being in that tunnel, coming out on that pitch, immaculate grass, there are no complaints. There's no real prep talk that Tommy Wheeldon Jr. needs to give this Calgary side going into that match, right? When you get to, if you play the first leg in Orlando, it's phenomenal. Just that stadium and that environment. So that's what you'd want. You want a team to go out and be like a bit of an underdog, but if you can get past that test or have a good result in the first leg, then anything can happen in the second one. So that's beautiful. For Forge, this is a team that's tried and tested from Canadian Premier League to go on and play other games, right? In 2021, they had that run where they're doing so well and lost, but they're back at it. And I think this is a great test for them. Being the underdogs, being a team that you can go in and play a team that's better than you and hopefully get a result. So I like it. Vancouver, tough draw. Like this is going to be the first match. It's gonna be hectic, but I like what I'm seeing because you're just gonna see beautiful football from the get-go. There's no warm-up time for any of these teams.
All right, so let's go through each and every one of the three fixtures for the Canadian, or the three ties, I should say, for the Canadian sides here, and give me a percentage of what the percent is that you think that they can or could advance.
70-30. If you're taking this Forge side right now, hopefully they can get some gems. But there's a 30%.
So 70 Chivas or 70 Forge? You're not
70
saying
Chivas. Sorry.
Okay.
Chivas 70. Yeah. Let's clarify. Forge are the complete underdogs. I mean, when you see these goals in the highlights, it's hard to really say. But yes, I'm giving 30% to Forge. Chivas are the favorites. But it's all about that first leg, Wheels, man. It's all about how you start. If you can get a draw, hey, go into that last match, anything can happen.
I will say this. It wasn't a great apertura for Chivas. They finished fifth, 22 goals. That's it. That's all they scored. It's a little bit of a young team. Alvarado's a standout talent in this team. Gutierrez as well, but maybe not as strong as they used to be. Am I just looking at things with the glass half full, Ollie? What do you make of it?
I'm going to
Give me
go
a
lower than
percentage.
Jordan. I'm going lower than Jordan, I think. I would say like 85-15. And I might have gone 90-10 if not for the fact that,
Ooh.
coming to Canada in February could be a big leveler, right? That could be a home advantage for Forge that gives them an opportunity to, if it's the first leg, to maybe get in a decent position going down to Mexico. But look, they're a good team. They've got Mexican internationals, Alvarado, Vega, Macias, who was a big prospect for the national team and has had a horrible time with injuries. He's just come back from a long layoff. So there's a lot of quality in this team, and I think Forge doing anything in this tie would be a massive upset, as was the case with Cruz Azul last year. But again, getting that home leg and the ability to bring them up into the Canadian winter, maybe you can make some noise.
And for these Liga MX sides, how young do you go in order to see yourself through? You expect this team to win at home. It's going to be quite the experience going to that stadium in Guadalajara. So big tie for Forge. What about Cavalry Orlando? Are you giving the Cavs a chance? Give me a percentage. Jordan Wilson.
Guys, call me a bit crazy, but I'm looking at this happen. You get that goal, you get a clamp header, you get Musi maybe scoring. You can dream. 2-leg affairs. I think anything is possible if you start well the first one, but I can't. It's Orlando City side that has done well this season. They're strong.
I should say Orlando club record in terms of wins, points, away wins, featuring Canadian Luca Petrasso. But they have lost Pereira and Carlos are both gone. Angulo's still up in the air, but their two strikers, Torres and McGuire, had great years, Ollie. Can they build off that, or did Orlando overachieve last season?
I think they can build off that because they have a really good coach in Oscar Pereira, who's taken a team that struggled in their early years in MLS and made the playoffs 4 seasons in a row. And this was their best season yet in terms of points and wins and those kinds of metrics. So they're a good team. It's difficult to put a number on this one because there's one big variable, which we don't know what it's going to look like, which is where are they going to play in Calgary, right? Is it going to be at Spruce Meadows? Is it going to be somewhere else? To deal with the weather at that time of the year and the difficulty of getting a game off on a grass pitch. Again, that could potentially be an advantage for Cavalry, depending on what that looks like. I'll go similar to Jordan. I'll go 80-20. Cavalry, I'll put a little bit ahead of Forge just on the basis that I thought they were the best team in the CPL last season. They should be bringing back much of the same core. So it should be a team that has a good understanding and is pretty settled going into that first game of the season, which this will be.
All right. And finally, it's I got to move this along, Jordan, but add your thoughts in a moment. It's Tigres and Vancouver Whitecaps. Tigres, the 2020 winners of the Concacaf Champions League. They also played in the Club World Cup final that year. They played Vancouver Whitecaps in the League's Cup. They played to a 1-1 draw at BC Place. Tigres won in penalties. They also won the Campeones Cup on penalties versus LAFC. Gignac still playing. He scored 11 goals in the Apertura, and they're playing in the finals, the 2-legged finals starting tonight against Club America. This is as tough as it can get. Tigres, in my opinion, perhaps the best team in this competition. Are you giving them much of a chance, Oliver Platt? As the Vancouver Whitecaps, I mean.
The Whitecaps, they've got a chance for sure because they're a very good team in their own right. I'll go like 65-35 maybe on this one. I do think Tigres are favorites and pretty decent favorites. Like you said, like over the past few years in CONCACAF, this has been the team to beat, the most consistently successful for me, and particularly has been very good in continental football. So it's as difficult as it could have come out for the Whitecaps. They've seen them at least. They know that they can compete with them at BC Place, so maybe that will give them a little bit of a lift going into this tie, but it couldn't have got much tougher for the Whitecaps than this.
Jordan, go higher. I know you're the optimist here. Let's go.
I can't. This is the toughest draw. Look, if I'm looking at teams that actually go on and win it and play in the last game, I can't really count on Tigres. Like also their path as well. This is really tough. I'm going 80-20 for Tigers.
Wow.
I think,
Wow.
yeah, like I know it's crazy, but this is how I truly believe. I think this team's too strong. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for Vancouver.
Whitecaps, get your business done early. This is an older Tiger side, by the way, aside from Linez, who's come over from Real Betis. Excellent player. I mean, Gurriaran, Guzman, Samir, formerly of Watford. Like, there's a lot of experience in this team. So we'll see. But they've had a really good Apertura. It's going to be a tough competition for the Whitecaps. But hey, I'll back them. I'll put my percentage a little bit higher. But guess what? I played this segment 100% correctly because I didn't have to give a percentage. Let's bring up the board featuring all the first round matchups very quickly. And you can take a pass if you like, but is there another fixture that catches your eye, Oliver?
Well, the one I was kind of looking for more in terms of the pathway to the next round and the matchup itself is that Nashville against Mocha tie, which will lead to Lionel Messi. So that was the slot that you wanted to be in if you're a CPL team. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Looks like a good position for Nashville to be in. Other than that, I think Philadelphia Saprissa. That's probably the team I look at outside of Canada, the US, and Mexico. Saprissa is the most interesting potentially.
How about you, Jordan? Anything stand out, or do you want to take a
Honestly,
pass?
nothing really except I know someone on Cavalier for Jamaica against Cincinnati, and I'm just telling them right now you're playing a top side. But I'd love to see an upset, right? A little smaller squad in Jamaica and Cavalier go to Cincinnati and get a result. But that is a long shot. Other than that, we've kind of covered all the big surprises. I think everything else is pretty much straightforward.
It happened last year in the competition.
It's true.
There were some significant upsets. So let's see how it all plays out. The Concacaf Champions Cup, we're all excited about it. It could be Nashville in that second. Nashville, Inter Miami was a memorable Leagues Cup tie last season, and we'll see how that plays out.